Awesome. Hi, everybody. This is Rocio Ortega, and I'm an associate at Girl Up at the United Nations Foundation. Thank you so much for everybody who is joining us. I hope you are able to see me on camera. If not, if you're calling in by phone or even on your app, I hope you are at least able to hear us. We are so excited to continue on these virtual panels and conversations just to provide space for all Girl Up clubs around the world, really, to make sure that they're connected with one another. So we're super excited to have this, and thank you to everybody who is joining. I know that maybe some folks are using Zoom for the first time. So thank you for bearing with us. And I see a lot of people joining, so that's awesome. If along the way you have some questions, we do have a question and answers icon that you can participate on. But as of right now, I just want to go ahead and not only introduce myself, but also introduce one of our panelists, or girl leader panelists, actually, Angela Zheng. Angela, do you mind introducing yourself briefly?
Hi, yeah, of course. Thank you, Rocio. Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Zheng, and I am a 16-year-old feminist from Los Angeles. This year, I'm honored to be one of Girl Up's teen advisors and president and founder of the Geffen Academy Girl Up Club.
Awesome. And before we jump to our next panelist, I just wanted to say briefly, and I forgot to mention this, but for all of the Girl Up Club leaders who are joining and listening to us, like just know that Girl Up HQ is still operating full mode. We're bringing together so many different programs and panels and opportunities like these. So one thing I always like to tell girls is to just check your email, because you never know when you're going to be the next person leading a panel like today. So that will always be super exciting. But just know we are here for you, and we are here to help your club in every step of the way. Right now, I would like to shift to introducing Morgan Wood.
Hi everyone, my name's Morgan, and you've probably seen me in the community if you've logged in recently. I am one of the new program coordinators for Girl Up, and what I do at Girl Up headquarters, along with Rocio, is help to support our club program. So one of my favorite things that I get to do every day is hear what you're all doing and how you're still staying active with your clubs and your coalitions and within your region, and even in the time of social distancing. So I'm so excited to talk about all the ways that you can stay active today.
Awesome. And last but not least, we have another very cool girl leader panelist. Sophia, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, definitely. So, hey guys, I'm Sophia Clinton, and I've been involved with Girl Up for about 4 years now. I'm the president of my Girl Up club at my high school, and am also a coalition leader for the Upstate New York Coalition alongside Evelyn Van Ness.
Awesome. So for those of you that just joined, today we will be going over Girl Up Clubs, Gender Equality Doesn't Stop. And what that means is that, we still want all Girl Up Club leaders, especially those who maybe this is your first time hearing about Girl Up, this is your first semester rolling out a club, and you're like, what do I do? Like, I'm not in class right now. There are still so many ways for you all to get involved. And the coolest part about all this is that now we have so many different platforms to stay engaged. So for example, when I did a Girl Up Club in high school, we didn't have Instagram. So now it's like really cool how it just adds on to like your toolbox of so many platforms to use. And I took a quick sneak peek at who are our attendees, and I see we have a really global representation. We have Zambia, Washington, D.C., Kansas City. So very cool for all of those of you who have joined, and hopefully we can have more Girl Up Club leaders join. But I think the biggest message from Girl Up HQ right now is that your clubs can still be active. As you might know, our Girl Up clubs are not just only in school, some are community-based, some are church-based. So there's no like one way fits all for Girl Up clubs. So if anything, hopefully this webinar can help you see some of those ways that you can still stay active, and what better way than to have Angela and Sophia explain that to you all. Morgan, do you want to chat a little bit about what's going on in the Girl Up community right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit so many points that I just want to echo. First and foremost, as Rocio was saying, some of you might be just starting off your club, and this is a really great time for you to connect with your club members and help build that support within your executive board or your leadership team, and how you can really focus on what's to come. I feel like when I'm reading all of your reports and you're submitting about what you're doing, I'm seeing an overarching theme of planning and optimism. And that's something that is really inspiring about the Girl Up community right now. All of you are looking for ways to connect. You're attending these panels, you're reaching out to each other, you're creating pen pals. And this is something that we really encourage. And one of the best ways to start connecting with club leaders would be to be joining these conversations in the Girl Up community through our chat section. And then one of the things that Rocio and I wanted to highlight for you are different examples of what girls are currently doing. Sophie and Angela will also talk about what they're doing, but here are some highlights that I pulled from some activity reports, which are very cool. So some clubs are definitely taking advantage of having Netflix parties. And so what we're seeing Girl Up clubs doing is hosting movie nights, or they're watching documentaries together and really breaking up all of the schoolwork that you have to do remotely, or just, hanging out together over Netflix party and watching things that they're interested in. Additionally, what I've been seeing from different clubs is they're having things like Workout Wednesday, and they're all getting on Zoom or Google Hangouts, and they're working out together, and they're thinking and keeping in mind how they can be both mentally fit and also physically fit. Additionally, I've talked to some club leaders, and they're talking about how they could host a coffee house night or Skype with a scientist. And so there are a lot of different ways that you can bring these events that you would have in your community or at school or with your friends as you normally would, but digitally. And so these examples really show ways that you can move those online. But club leaders are also using platforms like Netflix Party, or having virtual game nights, and utilizing Kahoot to quiz the ways that they are learning about sports for a purpose or about gender equality as a whole. And this is a really great way to really relax all of the planning and really lean into playing games. And so those are some of the highlights we've seen so far. But like Rocio said, this is really a great time to connect with one another and to help build up your club as a whole and get your community to understand what Girl Up is focusing on.
Sounds awesome, Morgan. And you just reminded me of another club activity on Netflix. I believe He Named Me Malala is on Netflix. So that's something you can all do. I mean, this is like Malala before like she cut her hair with bangs. So that's another cool activity that you can all do. But at this time, I would like to transition into having Angela and Sophia talk a little bit more about what they're doing and offer any advice. And just so everybody knows, in the group here, we're getting more attendees as we talk. And I see that now we have representation from Texas, Colorado, India. So this is a really amazing mix, and I hope we can stay connected after this. So take it away, Angela and Sophia.
Well, all right, I'll say then. Again, thank you everyone so much for coming, and for those of you who are joining, welcome. We are so excited to have you. And so throughout these times, I think we all know quarantine is and it is an interesting period. And for a lot of Girl Up clubs, chapters, coalitions, it seems as if it can be hard to stay motivated, and it can be hard to really stay active. But I want to just echo all of the highlights that Morgan pointed out, that Rocio pointed out. It is truly up to us as leaders, as Girl Up representatives, and as gender equality change makers to really stay motivated and motivate others to do so as well. And while these times are hard, this is essentially the time really to spread awareness on like COVID-19 and on gender equality, because everyone's going virtual, and we just want to highlight that importance. So on social distancing and on kind of moving to the virtual platform, there's a lot of things that we can do. And so utilizing Zoom is definitely one really great way. Another way is through platforms like Instagram. So staying connected is definitely a really huge role that takes place. And one of the main ways to do so is spreading awareness. And one of the cool things that my club did, Geffen Academy, shout out, we are for International Women's Month for the last couple of weeks, when we realized, oh, hey, we aren't going to be at school. What should we do? We had each Girl Up member post a girl hero, a hashtag girl hero, and write how they are inspiring. And for each day, we posted that for the rest of March. And that was a really cool way to get involved via Instagram. And another way on social media, before I hand the mic over to you, Sophie, is fundraising. And fundraising is possibly one of the huge ways to get involved, especially virtually. So there's a lot of ways we can do so, like virtual drives, for example, on Amazon wishlist. There's online payments, there's online raffles or little incentives that you can utilize. For example, like if you can like shout out to your followers, oh, if you donate X amount of money, then I'll dye my hair blue or dye my hair purple, or hopefully not something like that extreme, but definitely there are little fun ways to get involved and have everyone really know that Girl Up is here and that gender equality still matters in these times of difficulty. But yeah, I would love to hand the mic over to Sophie, and yes, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Angela. Those were some awesome ideas and suggestions. And I think, I could just echo a lot of those. I think, I'm basically just here to share like what is going on in my club and coalition and kind of how I'm keeping that going, just like Angela, in this kind of uncertain time. And so I think just because one suggestion I have for seniors in high school, just because I am one, and I am the president of my club, and I'm gonna not be there next year, which is very sad. But I get to leave the club knowing that there are some lovely juniors and underclassmen who are there. And I think they're just gonna, take the club on and be really amazing. But I think I've been kind of nudging them to kind of take more responsibility and like start planning different events and meetings and things, just so they feel more comfortable in a leadership position next year. So that's definitely one tip that I thought about a little bit. Just for the seniors who might feel kind of scared about leaving next year, which I definitely understand. And then another thing that is super relevant right now is, online meetings and events. And so I think one thing that I've been using, at least for coalitions and club meetings, is Zoom, like we're on right now, and then House Party. And the great thing about both of those is that, you don't need a certain type of phone or like a phone at all. You can really download them to any computer and be able to connect with your Girl Up clubs and coalitions to kind of keep going on your mission. And I think, other forms of media that you can use and definitely take advantage of right now are like Instagram. I know most of you guys have, different Instagram accounts and things, and Facebook and the Girl Up community, which I know Morgan will touch on a little bit later. And then one thing that I think is really awesome that our Upstate New York coalition and other coalitions are doing right now is planning virtual summits. Which is really great to just include that and on this call to just kind of, work together. But I think the beautiful thing about this virtual summit is that we're not focusing as much on, venues or food or decorations or any of like the, extra stuff. And we're more able to focus on the actual events and, the speakers who are going to be added and the attendees. And so I think, when the coalition executive board and I were planning this awesome event, we kind of realized that we're able to bring many other voices of, other women to the table now that, they don't have to, travel to our location and, maybe travel. I know some girls were traveling like 3 or 4 hours to our location last year, which was crazy. And I'm so thankful that, they don't have to do that this year, and I'm sure they are as well. And, I think we're just really excited to be able to have, local politicians, entrepreneurs, and just busy people in general who are able to join our calls because, it's more convenient for them and they only have to take about 2 hours out of their day rather than, travel and be there for a couple hours and then leave. And I think another thing that we were definitely focusing on as a coalition, just because we do have 2 hours to put this on, is we had one board member invite one person. So we have 5 board members, I think, right now. And so we're focusing on getting 5 very different people on the panel who will represent different career paths and different just backgrounds and things, just to make sure that, we try to represent those career paths and allow each attendee to feel represented, and that they're able to find a female role model or somebody to look up to and ask questions to, and just kind of continue on their path and really, get a sense for what they do. And then, just because our summit will be 2 hours long, we're going to be discussing gender equality in all forms and different backgrounds, as I said. And I think something that is super important for planning a summit online is having different breaks too. So we're planning on having, dance breaks featuring Beyonce and other girl bosses, which will be very fun and exciting. And, just because we don't have to book a venue or, have food or decorations or worry about that at all, we are also asking anybody who's able at the end to donate to Girl Up. And just, because I know it's kind of an uncertain time with finances and such. So that's definitely something that we're going to include in that, just because we don't have to spend money on anything else. And so, yeah, I mean, with that, I think I have a lot of other things that I can definitely talk about. If you guys have any questions at the end, you can definitely go to the little question and answer situation down there and ask some awesome questions. Yep, at the bottom. And yeah, I think with that, I'd like to give a little shout out to my upstate New York gals, Martine, Hannah, Aisha, and Evelyn. You're awesome. And if you have any more questions, any of you guys that you want to reach out specifically to me as a coalition leader, or Angela, I'm sure too, we have our specific Girl Up Instagram. For me, it's the Upstate New York Coalition Instagram, which is Girl Up State New York. And you can go ahead and follow that on Instagram and message me. So thank you.
And just to echo everything, also my for my club, which is Geffen Academy at Girl Up, our Instagram is at Girl Up Geffen. So if you have any questions, concerns, anything, please feel free to either reach out to Sophie or me or Rocio or Morgan. And just to kind of echo everything, again, I think it's really phenomenal to host a virtual summit like that is incredible. That is huge, and that really is an inspiring action that all of you can take. And I think for especially new club members or new people who are joining us, I know this might right now everything what we might be saying might be like a lot to take in, but just for people who are starting out, which is where I found myself actually quite recently, like last year, the Girl Up community online. So definitely what Morgan touched upon is a really useful platform. It's a wonderful place to start and really to keep going. So there's a lot of different aspects to the community. There is the chat section. There is, when you log in, there's a lot of resources that you can take. And it's a really great way online alongside Instagram to really just see what other clubs, chapters, and your fellow Girl Up members are doing. And it's incredibly important in these times to really take advantage and take the most you can from these online platforms, because essentially everyone is using them, and everyone, that includes already existing Girl Up members, that includes prospective members, that includes just people who are interested, of all genders, all identities. So it's really important and really awesome to be able to reach out to these different voices during these times, and especially online.
And one thing that I might add, sorry, really quick, is that echoing what Angela just said, and Morgan probably will talk about later, is the map on the Google or on the Girl Up community is so helpful. Last year when we were planning our summit, we looked for, a lot of clubs that we may not have known even existed, just because, Girl Up is expanding so much. So definitely recommend looking at that and kind of taking advantage of, reaching out to all of the club members in your area and just kind of getting in contact with them.
And Angela and Sophia, I'm getting questions in the Q&A. One of them is, just sharing your experience overall. What has it been like being a coalition leader or teen advisor or club president for that matter?
Okay. I can definitely touch on that. Wow, that is a big question because I have so much to say on that. Well, I would say I became a teen. For me, I became a teen advisor before I started my club, and it was so that was like a kind of interesting dynamic, I would say. But I can say it has been an incredible journey. I think one of the biggest parts for me and the most memorable has been being able to connect with so many girls and women and people who are really young change makers towards the movement of gender equality. And I know within my fellow teen advisor class there are so many girls from so many different countries that I am countlessly inspired by every day. We have a group chat and like we talk on there every day, and it's like everyone's sharing their achievements, their accomplishments, from Malawi to Colombia. It is absolutely so global, and when you look back, it's really beautiful to see how you can connect with so many people just through like a platform, and just through Girl Up you already share so many stories. And well, if any of you have applied to be a teen advisor, I wish you the best of luck. You have made an awesome choice. And I would definitely say that's one of the major takeaways. And as a club president and founder of a Girl Up Club, especially at a new school, I definitely have had a different journey in that, and I would definitely love to talk about that more. But for me, essentially, I think one of also relating to how I connected with a lot of different people. My club has both middle school and upper school, or middle and high school students, and I think just seeing members grow over the course of the year when you've just met them, and until now where they learned so much about gender equality. I think that's something that's really beautiful and really inspiring as both a leader, as a teen advisor, and really just as a person and as a gender equality advocate.
Definitely. So just to echo what Angela said as well, I think that definitely being a coalition leader, and I know Morgan a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago at this point, invited me to take over the coalition with Evelyn Van Ness. And we always talk about how we've definitely grown as leaders and just been able to, really work with Girl Up and take advantage of all of our opportunities. And I think Girl Up does a really great job of working with each coalition leader, and I'm sure teen advisor as well, just to make sure they feel comfortable. And I think that was a lot last year of like kind of feel comfortable in that position. And I think, this year we've really been able to grow and become more independent, which has been really exciting. But I think, definitely just working hard. And as I said before, I've been a part of Girl Up for about 4 years now as a club member, and then kind of grew to where I am now. But just staying involved and, working as hard as you can and as passionately as you can. But yeah.
Awesome. And I have two very, very good questions. So we have one question from Kosovo, shout out Kosovo. How exactly did you start Fundraisers, and did, what do you do if like people ask like, why are you fundraising for Girl Up? Just any challenges that you've encountered when it comes to fundraising.
I think one thing, just because my school is pretty significantly large, so we've had a couple fundraisers, and I think, the question is mostly like, what do you say when you're fundraising, but also, in general, how. And I think we've kind of just used a lot of the holidays to our advantage. I think we did candy grams for different holidays and little like friendship grams for Valentine's Day, which was really cute. And just getting creative, honestly, Pinterest is great. Highly recommend just getting ideas from there and kind of making them your own. But as for, the question of, why are you fundraising for Girl Up? I've done my research on the Girl Up website a bunch, and I think it's really great just to say, this amount of money. I mean, I know on the Girl Up website they kind of have like a specific amount of money for, this amount of money buys a girl, a pencil and a pad of paper or an education free or something like that. I think just having that information to just show the direct impact is really awesome. So definitely have that there. That's just a suggestion.
And I can talk about a little bit about fundraising in a different light. So in contrast to Sophia, my school is actually really small. We have like about 400 people in total, and I'm a junior and we're their first graduating class. So it's a bit of a different experience. And when it comes to fundraising, there are a lot of limits per se. So instead so for any schools or any facilities out there that have limits in fundraising, which I know based on like the environment that is existent, I would definitely say you can also transition certain things into certain movements like drives. So rather than like strictly fundraising, if that's not a possibility, then definitely drives and donations are a really good way. And echoing Sophia's point on trying to get people to really be involved and really reason why it matters to really fundraise. Definitely the mere aspect of gender equality is incredibly important, and just being able to really show why it matters to you and why it matters to the people around you. And it's kind of like if you've ever had an experience lobbying, or for anyone who attended the leadership summit last year, lobby day, advocacy day, it's kind of the same way as going to your representative and really asking and really showing why that this bill is important to you. And same thing, a very similar aspect, and that applies to fundraising, where you really one of the biggest parts, or at least for me, is the storytelling aspect, and really letting them know why these X amount of dollars really do make a difference. And people are humans, no matter who they are, they'll come to understand that stories do matter, and ultimately they will have a sense of empathy because they are human. And whether it relates to gender equality or not, it's something that they will take to heart, especially once they see that, oh, you are all young change makers and really do make a difference. So definitely just keeping that in mind as you explain to someone, or as no matter who that person is.
Awesome. And I think just a follow-up question. So just so everybody knows, later on, probably later this month, we will be announcing our next club challenge that involves fundraising. So Angela, Sophia, any just main point, especially for people who just joined, just what are some virtual fundraising ideas? Sophia, I know you mentioned talking about like having donations at the end of your virtual summit. How do we use platforms to do some sort of online fundraising if possible? Just any ideas that come to mind.
Definitely. So I actually haven't done this for Girl Up yet, but it was just something that, came to mind a while ago. But I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, and I'm sure some of you guys have probably participated in this before. But during the month of December, at least this December and a couple Decembers in the past, I've worn a dress every day. And basically what you do is you raise money for an organization called Dressember, which works towards kind of abolishing a lot of the sex trafficking that goes on in the world and just sexual harassment in general, which is just a really great organization. And it's a really great fundraising idea to just, because, especially in Syracuse, New York, you're wearing a dress every day in the winter and it's snowing and people are confused. And so they ask questions and therefore, you raise money. And so I think definitely doing something, doing something crazy, like Angela said, like maybe not dyeing your hair crazy, but like, you'll dance to a certain video, or you'll, do something fun, or, do something fun with your Girl Up Club, and kind of motivating them to fundraise and reach out. But definitely just like getting really creative, and definitely just using your platforms like social media, Instagram, Facebook, to your advantage, definitely.
And I'm echoing everything that Sophia said, because those are all in incredible ways. And I think down the line, you will come to realize that all these ideas come like a flow. Like once you try one, you'll realize that, oh my gosh, I can also do this in this creative way. So there's definitely a lot of options, and there's like really using your digital platforms like Instagram, for example. I think that's one of the biggest, to really tell all your followers, or tell the people that who can see your profile, why this donation matters. And alongside that, there are a lot of different platforms like outside of social media that you can definitely spread as well. So there's excuse me, there's like Amazon wishlist. I touched upon this a while ago, where Amazon wishlist is like essentially, if there are like donations, like for example, if you want to donate pads during these pads and tampons during this time, then if you have a list, people, and you send it to people, then people can add on to that list. So they're inherently donating money, but in the form of pads and tampons. That's just one idea. And ultimately, they will all be shipped towards one certain place. So in these times of quarantine, no one has to like go outside to actually donate. And definitely things like online raffles and online incentives. Those are all little small creative ideas that your clubs can take.
Awesome. I think a couple of last questions, and I really like this question. So in general, what has motivated the both of you to join a movement like Girl Up, and what advice can you give to quote unquote beginners to the Girl Up movement?
I think honestly, so I've been involved for a while, and I was drawn to Girl Up as a freshman in high school, when they did a little club fair at my school, and they just had like a really great energy about them, and they were all super passionate about women's rights and including everybody that wanted to join. And I think, as I started, in the club when I originally started, I was like super passionate, and they kind of realized that. And so one of the seniors kind of took me under their wing and brought me to one of the first Girl Up summits that we had in upstate New York, which Morgan was the leader at the time. And so I got to meet Morgan, and I got to meet, just kind of become closer with my Girl Up friends and meet a lot of other amazing women. And so definitely a tip that I have when you're originally getting involved is just like, be super passionate, like just really don't hold back, work as hard as you can. This is a great organization, and you'll meet some amazing people. So I went to the Coalition Summit, and I met Morgan, and then I went to the International Summit a couple times, and all of those times I've met different people, different experience. Like it just keeps getting better. It's so great. So definitely just keep working hard and meeting new people.
Definitely, that's really inspiring to hear. For me, I was interested in the gender equality movement. I was super passionate and even when when I wasn't introduced to Girl Up yet, since I say freshman year of high school, and it was really the menstrual movement on really the rights of periods and pads that drew me in initially, because I recall one of our drives at our schools was on the pad and tampon drive, and we weren't able to call it that exactly because it caused some like different thoughts. So I just originally thought that was very interesting. So from then I just kind of like fueled my passion and fueled that kind of frustration I had with like generally or certain parts of society as a whole that are still stigmatized. I think that definitely was a passion charger for me. And with regards to Girl Up specifically, um, I was introduced last, like right when I was going to apply to a teen advisor, and I think what ultimately, and I was quote unquote pretty new to like the general movement as a whole, but I think what really inspired me to really keep on going was the fact that I am a woman myself, and I am proud to be. And there are so many other women that I know, students, adults, that continuously inspire me. And I think definitely the fact that I could become one of those women and that I could inspire people younger than me, I think just keeping that in mind really was also a passion charger that led me on, that really inspired me to keep on going. And I think if you are, and someone being new to the movement, that's awesome. I really encourage you to keep on going because it will be the journey of your lifetime, and you really can change the world. And always keep that in mind. And whatever identity you identify as, that just mindset of, okay, I can do this. And like Sophie said, really charging your passion and really showing how passionate you are. Um, that is that will change worlds, and that will lead the movement that you want to lead.
Awesome. Thank you so much to the both of you for sharing that, all the feelings. Morgan, I think you wanted to jump in and talk a little bit about our next club challenge.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to announce a little preview for all of you that on Monday will be, or Monday, beginning of next week, we'll be previewing and publishing our next club challenge, which will be our global 5K, and we're taking it virtual. So what that means is that through this challenge, you'll see ways how to participate in a global 5K in a virtual way, which means that Girl Up is encouraging you to still practice social distancing, and that your 5K may look very different from mine or from Rocio's or from Sophie's or Angela's, and we're encouraging you to get fit both physically and mentally. And so in our challenge, we have tips about ways that you can work on your mental health and also your physical health and just your overall well-being during this time. And to highlight what Angela and Sophie were talking about, for how to digitally fundraise. And so this toolkit will be complete with ideas for fundraising digitally, and will provide you emails and social media post like captions, even though you're all much better at it than we are, talking how to talk to your audience on your social platforms and fundraising in those ways. So like Sophie was saying earlier, fundraising on your Instagram stories of, I'm going to be doing this crazy thing for the month of May. And on May 7th, May 16th, when we all come together to do our virtual 5K, this is what I'll be doing. Will you join me? And so we'll be talking about that in the Girl Up community and throughout these panels about ways that you can help fundraise and help meet our goal. So keep your eye out on the community. I'll be sure to post a news article about it and link it in our highlights. And if you haven't yet, in the Girl Up community, we have recently been able to publish our challenges on our challenge pages. And you'll be able to view all of the challenges without downloading them. I know in past challenges, some clubs have had problems with downloading PDFs because they're too big, which we want to solve. And so what we're doing is now publishing them on the pages themselves. And so if you go to the Sports for a Purpose Hub, you'll be able to see the club challenges in all of the languages and be able to access and interact with them without downloading. So those are my highlights from the community. And if you have any questions, please message me. I should be your friend on the community, and if I'm not yet, add me, and we can talk about ways that you can get involved with the Global 5K and also with any of the challenges that we have previously, because those are a great resource too to be doing during this time. Just because it ended at Girl Up HQ doesn't mean you can't interact with it. So that's all I have to say.
Awesome. And I think this is a good segue to one of the questions we got. Can you give ideas for the sports challenge to do over Instagram? I think I've seen a lot of clubs do a lot of things on sports. So whether it's like highlighting their sports girl heroes or sharing news articles on Instagram for their followers to learn about maybe like the first female athlete in this sport. As many of you know, the Olympics has been postponed to next year, but we're still very passionate about achieving gender equality in sports. And so, like Morgan mentioned, we do have the Sports for a Purpose Community Hub that's full of resources. So even though we're not maybe physically meeting with our clubs, you can still share a PowerPoint presentation on Zoom. You can still post your sports girl heroes on Instagram and challenge other clubs to do the same, just to keep your community going. So similar to what Angela did this past March, you know, really using Instagram to keep educating your club members and those that follow you on all social media platforms. But just to give sneak preview, like Morgan said, for Sports for a Purpose, we will be having virtual panels with different sport social justice issues. So if you care about mental health, about, gosh, the wage gap in sports and leadership and other aspects of it, like the media, I definitely encourage you to watch out on our social media to join in on those virtual panels. They will be interactive and you'll have the opportunity to ask questions. And I gotta say, I don't want to spoil the entire thing, but like the people that are on these panels are super cool. And I really hope that you and your club can join, because this counts as a club activity. And if you participate in our panel by watching it, you know, you can still submit an activity report for it. Like that still counts. So that answers that question. And I think, Morgan, do you want to share a little bit more about just submitting activity reports in general?
Absolutely. So in order to submit your activity report, you're going to go to your online platform for girlup.org, clubs.girlup.org, and then you're going to go to the icon that says My Groups. And once you click there, you'll see instructions for how to submit your report. And submitting your report is super important and something that I tell the TAs because I meet with them more frequently. If you don't submit your report, it didn't happen. Obviously the event happened, but Girl Up doesn't know about it. And sometimes I'll find out months later that some amazing fundraiser happened and Girl Up had no idea. And we can't highlight your successes and be your champions and post those on social media and highlight what you're doing without knowing that you submitted your report. So reports are still open, even if you're just meeting with your leadership board virtually. Please, please, please submit a report so we can know, and add comments at the bottom. I believe there's a section to tell us more about it, and tell us, you know, what you want to see from us, and let us know what we can do to help support you. And that's one of the best ways to give us feedback. And I also saw a question come up about how should you be fundraising. Girl Up works with the platform Classy, and Classy is a platform that you can access through our challenge page. And I'll be sure to post along with, once we publish about the Global 5K toolkit, how you can access Classy and how you can start your Classy page. And what this does is it makes it so you don't have to be posting on Instagram. Instead, you can be inviting people to donate to your page more directly. But if you have more questions about that, please definitely message me in the community. I'll be happy to share more information ahead of the challenge being published.
Awesome. And I know in the past girls have done this too. Classy is absolutely our preferred method for girls to do fundraising, because we're able to track like what clubs have registered. And so you can also get points for it in the community by submitting a report. But I know you can also create a fundraiser on Facebook. So if that's something that maybe like most of your family and friends or supporters are on Facebook, like that's totally fine too. The funds do go to Girl Up, so no need to worry about that. But that is another virtual tool you can use for fundraising. I think at this time, we can open it up for more questions and answers if anybody has any, but you can always contact org for any of your questions. I think today was super exciting. And I definitely want to take advantage of this time for us to share a little bit about just what transitioning means for your club leadership. Morgan, can you chat a little bit about that? Meanwhile, I see some of the Q&A.
Yeah, definitely. So I believe Sophie brought this up a little bit earlier, but as we're social distancing and we're practicing staying healthy, your club transitions are going to look a little different. So previously, Girl Up has always advised, make sure you have a meeting and bring them to all of the executive board meetings and have all these leadership meetings and transition them more physically, and they're shadowing you in person. But this time, when we're thinking about transitioning your club, we have to think about it virtually. And so what that means is all of those executive board or leadership board meetings that you're having, your next person who is coming up into your position should also be included in those. A really great way to share all of the resources that you've created as a club. So as you've done fundraisers in your community, you've probably met a couple people along the way and they've been helping you out. And so making sure that you connect your person who is taking over your position with them. So basically what that means is to create an address Excel sheet or one document where it's basically everyone your club leaders should know who to contact next year for certain events or fundraising. And then in addition to that, making sure that they have all of their privileges in the online community. And this will give the next leaders the ability to submit reports and to be in touch with Girl Up leaders at HQ and help them along the way. And then some other top line ways to help transition your executive board is just to be really transparent with your club, because it's something that a lot of clubs haven't had to do before virtually. And so maybe that means in order to have your voting for your club, you're all accessing you're all on Zoom at the same time. Everyone submits an anonymous survey monkey or Google form where they're able to vote, and being very transparent about the way people are elected. Also, in addition to that, being really open and communicative with the people who are now taking these positions. And so bringing all of that information to one together is one piece, but also making sure everyone feels like they're a part of the decision-making process and they feel included in the decisions that are happening. Because especially for seniors who are graduating and who are moving on after this, it can be a little scary to not relinquish power, but to have this big transition without being in person. So just making sure that you're being supportive of one another and you're including everyone along the way, I think you'll be good to go. But if you have any questions, again, you can message me in the community or you can email clubs@girlup.org and we can work with you, because as we keep saying, no club is exactly the same. They're all a little bit different and unique. And so these situations might be different for everybody, but we're going to try our best to help you transition your next leaderboard coming in the next few months.
Awesome. Well, I think that wrapped up all the questions. Like Morgan highlighted, all Girl Up clubs look different. You're all on different school systems. So I know for the most part, maybe like in the US, our school year ends in May, but maybe that's like middle of the year for somebody else. So yeah, just to highlight what Morgan was saying in terms of the leadership transition, like that's really up to you, but it's something to think about in the upcoming months. We've seen Girl Up clubs like from the very beginning identify who their next club leader will be that they mentor throughout the semester or the year, and we've seen a good sustainable clubs work that way. So definitely encourage you all to do that. But other than that, for any questions related, you can definitely email us at clubs@girlup.org and we will answer as soon as we can. But other than that, this concludes our Girl Up Club's webinar. We thank everybody. We thank Angela and Sophia and Morgan for joining us. All the questions that you all submitted have been amazing. So thank you all so much. And stay tuned for the next webinar.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Great questions, and I really would love to meet each and every one of you, even though that might not be possible. But thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everybody. Stay healthy too.